Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ramblemancy. That was not orchestrated by me. I did not do that. Freeman and John decided that everything was going to start exploding right before we went live. I did give them fair warning, and there were still explosions.
It
So
it we live in an action movie now, and that's just
this
where we're
is
at.
this is a Michael Bay. This episode of Ramblemancy is directed by Michael Bay. Um,
Die Hard
so
brought to you by.
so very soon there will be lots of explosions. A bunch of stuff. Yes, geek outs. I reshaved the sides today. So that is a thing that I did.
It's very clean.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So yeah, today it's Ramblemancy. It's the day of days. I don't know why I said that, but today we're doing a thing. We are talking about scary stories, ghost stories in across all media. Um, but first, we will be doing some quick announcements. So,
As always.
as always, first and foremost, if you did not get a chance to catch the Q&A after show for It Came from the Loop, you can now see it on YouTube. It's there. You can find it. It went up today, and I put it everywhere. You should be able to find it. And so yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, um, it will be easier now than watching the Twitch VOD. Um, More announcements. Big one. The big one. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, we will be doing our first ever multi-stream event, playing some Blackout Club. It's gonna be really fun. We've got me and John. We've got Bree coming to play some Blackout Club with us, and Jess at GoJG will be with us as well, playing some good old fashioned kids on bikes, but not really on bikes, just kids, saving the world from. Well, I don't know about saving the world, but at least trying not to die in a town where there's some terrifying stuff happening. It's actually extremely scary.
He says, I played the tutorial and it was, well,
It
it's a
sure
time.
is a time. That opening sequence though, like trying to sneak down out of the out of the second floor. Dear God,
I
that took me
haven't
a
played
second.
it. I haven't played it yet. I was gonna do it tomorrow morning. Now I'm afraid.
It's a time. It's gonna be fun. Uh,
There'll be a lot of
there will
screaming.
be a lot of screaming. I was freaking out. Me too. It was not great. But the game is fun. I'm now like obsessed with that game, and it has taken every ounce of my barely present self control to not play it since then. Um, so yeah, it's I love that game. I'm obsessed with it. It's just very fun. It has a lot of really cool aesthetic, and yeah. Um, Other things. There are other things. Oh yes, of course. Infinite Horizon will be returning on Wednesday. Wednesday, y'all. That is five less than 5 days from now, I believe. Is that true? Less than 5 days, or is it 5 days? I don't know. It's one of those things. Hey,
Oh,
me
hey,
too. I did it too.
I
No,
I
yeah.
missed the memo. Oh God, I've been sitting here in call with you guys for 30
John,
minutes, and
I
I
have
could
been on Twitter all day today on both accounts talking about nothing but Infinite Horizon.
have.
You do not have an excuse here. You do not have an excuse. Um but yeah, so that'll be coming back. I'm very excited. We have so much cool stuff coming up. So many good plans. We have plans. I'm so excited. It's gonna
Plots,
be
I'm happy
schemes,
to.
machinations.
yeah. I will say one of my favorite things that I'll give this as a quick little tease. So if you are not here for this Ramblemancy, you won't actually hear anything that I'm going to say after this point. So there's no reason for me to be talking to you. But I will say, this season I'm very excited about this thing, which is the fact that it's going to be much more character focused than anything else. I'm very, very excited. We have a lot of really cool plans. I heard a lot about from the different players about their characters and plans that they have for their characters, and I am very excited. So yeah, that'll start on Wednesday, and it's gonna be great. Um, I don't know if we have more specifically rule of lore stuff. I think that's everything for like rule of lore stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Geek Out's linked the recap in chat, so
Ah,
if you want to
yes.
get caught up on Infinite Horizon, you can do it in 15 minutes instead of 90 hours, thanks to the efforts of the writers' room.
Yeah. It's just kind of a fever dream. That whole writing that whole thing is kind of a fever dream now. Like
Uh-huh.
I don't
Hmm.
remember actually doing it. I just know that one day we woke up and there was a script completely done.
Yeah, it was just sitting in the Rule of War writers' room Google Drive. Frankly, I'm not sure how it got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I said that was it. All we have for rule of lore announcements, but I also have one, which is that next Friday, um, at butting right up against Ramblemancy, I will be I will actually be over on Friends Who Roll Dice playing a one of their they've got like a whole bunch of charity events happening throughout the course of October. They've had every Friday they had like a different sort of spooky themed game with indie games and all sorts of stuff, and I've tuned in for a couple and they're very cool. Um, but yeah, mine's coming up. I'm gonna be playing Monster of the Week, a powered by the Apocalypse game, I believe, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We had our session 0 a while ago, and I met the cast, and they're pretty great. I'm very excited for you to meet all these characters. But yeah, so I'll be over there on Friends Who Roll Dice, and you can find me there in the afternoon on Friday the 30th. So yeah.
Cool.
Um, which means there's a pretty solid chance Ramblemancy will have a late start that day. But, this is what happens. Some of the juggling act of uh, this whole thing. Um, the other announcement is that John has a flower now.
I do.
John has a flower.
Drac introduced me to Zoom video filters, and it was a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
All right.
I'd have to update my Zoom for that, so you guys are lucky. Yes.
Someday Freeman will update his Zoom, and then it will be all over for us. He'll have
Yeah.
filters too.
Yeah.
Get that voice mod. It'll be, oh man.
Oh God, Freeman with
I won't be
voice mod.
Freeman. I won't be Freeman. I'll just be apps.
Freeman. There is
Software.
no Freeman. There's only apps.
Apps and software.
All right. I think those are like the big announcements. I think we're gonna go ahead and get into the episode.
Spooky.
Tonight's
Spooky.
episode of Infinite. Wait, hold on.
No.
Rooms?
It just occurred to me that a thing that I
Gosh.
realized I forgot to do, which I'm going to fix right now in this particular way. There we go. We fixed it. We're good.
Wait, what?
Nothing. Everything's fine. So.
Okay.
So no, I fixed it. It's okay. We don't have to worry
okay.
about it. Okay. So, or rather, everybody except for Freeman forgot to do it. That's not important. The important thing is we are going to start tonight's episode of Ramblemancy now. So yeah, who's got something?
I I would just like to remind chat that a few weeks ago we decided that Lucas's house was haunted. So really tonight's episode is brought to you by the fact that Lucas is a ghost because
That's right. I confirmed that on
Lucas's-
stream.
Lucas's house is haunted by Lucas.
Yeah, we said that my house is haunted, and I confirmed. I said yes, it is me. I am the ghost. So, let's see.
We also concluded that Colin is sus.
I remember that.
Colin is not even in the apartment right now, so that would be a hell of a story if he. Well, actually,
Ooh,
he
that's
could
so
vent
much
back.
worse. That's so much worse. I
There's-
don't know, John.
actually,
His story
there's-
is getting thinner and thinner as we speak.
Yeah.
There's two vents in this room that I am sitting in. I'm very nervous now.
But yeah, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here with us tonight. Sounds hella sus to me. Yeah. It's Anyway, tonight we're gonna be talking about spooky stories and our favorite spooky tales. across all media, and that includes
Yeah.
literally just like oral. That includes like, just telling stories to scare your friends when you were 10 years old at camp, and
Mhm. God, that was one of the few times that I think I actually enjoyed Boy Scouts was all of us like sitting around the campfire on like a fall evening where it was like 40 fucking degrees for no good reason at the beginning of October, much like right now in a lot of the Midwest, except for where I live, where it's 80 degrees. I don't know why. It was 80
I
degrees
won't ask.
yesterday. It's 40 degrees today. I have whiplash.
It's not just a
Oh,
heat wave;
yeah.
it's a spooky heat wave.
It's very yeah.
I'm being haunted by the ghost of August. Um,
Uh,
I know, Bree. I don't understand. You got a foot of snow this week up in Minnesota, and here I am. I had to go outside in shorts and a t-shirt yesterday because it was so hot. Like we had to turn the air conditioning back on.
I do appreciate the way that you phrased that, is that you had to go outside in shorts and a t-shirt, because that's also how I feel about that ensemble. It's like, fucking, all I want to do is wear jeans and a sweatshirt, but it's fucking July.
There is snow on the ground, you animal. Listen, I don't control the wet. I only control it a little bit, actually. I'll out myself on that. I wanted one last day of summer, and so I marched out into the woods beneath the harvest moon a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
and
So, for lack of, even though John is only a little bit responsible, he is the only corporeal being responsible, which means that if you have complaints about the weather, you can send them to John no,
at Resident Bard, my DMs are open. If you go to my
I was actually about to totally fabricate like an Iowa mailing address, and then I realized I'm not that clever. So
yeah, actually, if you want to send your complaints physically, you can send them to 555-555 apartment 10 in the middle of southeast bumfuck nowhere, Iowa.
that sounds
Uh,
that
five
sounds
five
legit. That sounds like a
five
place
five five.
in
Yeah.
Iowa,
Yeah.
I
or
feel
like
like
all of
yeah.
it. Anyway, so ghost
I feel like
stories.
this can also we could also expand this to personal spooky things that happen to
Oh,
you,
absolutely. I was sort of, I
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of kept those under the umbrella of like
Yeah, for
spooky
sure. Those are fun.
stories, that
Okay,
like
okay.
things that really did actually happen to us, and yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
Dude.
today on Twitter I was specifically like, I was like, come hear me talk about my
Yeah.
sleep paralysis demons. Um,
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have a really good one if we're talking about just spooky shit that has happened to us.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, John, how could you do this to me? Well, the betrayal counter +1. The story that I have is actually a couple of years ago. I was doing my student teaching about an hour and a half up the road in Iowa City, Iowa, and great schools, loved it there. And then because I was a fall student teacher, I went on to continue substitute teaching in the spring, and so I wound up getting my own apartment instead of continuing to live with family. And so the apartment that I lived in was small. It was a little 1-bedroom place in kind of a not super old but not super new building. And the first week that I had there, I had like basically no furniture. I had a kitchen table, and I had all of my kitchen fixings and my bed and my dresser, and that was pretty much it. And so here I, like, within the first week, I had already had like some strange sounds coming from inside the walls, like
The wolves
which,
are in the walls.
like, these weird kind of grating sounds, and I was like, this is great. I was gonna sleep tonight, but then again, maybe not. Maybe I won't sleep in my new apartment. Okay, it'll be fine, right? No, nothing's gonna come out of the walls and murder me. Thankfully, that only happened one night. But then the next day,
John is a ghost too, confirmed.
it's me. I haunted my apartment. So then the next day, I go to get up in the morning, take my shower, go sub for the day. I come back and I walk in to just like throw my coat on my bed from the door, and water drips on my head. And I'm like, I took a shower like this morning. There's no way that there should be any like damp left in this apartment. And so I look around for a while. I'm like, what the? okay, maybe it was just like it'd been rainy that day. I was like, okay, it's probably just some water that was on my coat when I threw it. So about like I'm in the middle of making dinner and I go to just like wash my hands in the bathroom, and water drips on my head again. And I realize now that I don't have my shoes on that I also walked through like a puddle. And so I look up at this point and then get a splash of water straight in the face because there is legit just water like leaking through the fire detector where the fire detector is in the hallway.
Oh.
So I had to call my landlord like 5 days into living this apartment because weird sounds in the walls and now like the ceiling is leaking water all over the place, which, you know, turned out to have apparently some kind of pipe had rusted through above me. I choose to believe it was the entity that was after me because not 2 days later, here I sit, like I sit now, cross-legged on a kitchen chair, playing a League of Legends with a couple of friends. We're sitting in queue, and you know, I had made dinner as normal in the kitchen and put everything away and was settling in for a nice evening of playing games with friends when the light kind of like flickered in the room and I was like, huh, that's weird. And then it like shifted, like something had just passed in front of the light really quickly. And then there's just an explosion of like shattering glass behind me because the fixture, like the glass fixture on the outside of the lights had fallen off down onto the floor and exploded all over my floor. So like within the first week of living in my apartment, there was some kind of entity that was just like, I'm gonna fuck with this kid. So anyway, that's my old apartment was haunted. That's my story.
Jesus.
I was barefoot too. That was the
Yikes.
great thing. I was sitting cross-legged barefoot on the chair.
Wild. That's
Yep.
yeah. Cool.
So-
Well, that's, you know, pipe ghosts. What are you gonna do?
Pipe ghosts.
Yeah, I
I
don't
like
know.
that.
I don't know what kind of spirit I pissed off there by moving in, or like if it was just angry with the previous residents or what, but like there was something in that place that was after me.
Maybe you just wanted to be friends.
Well,
Also, I see that chat
Yeah.
is plotting against me.
yeah, your reign as a mod is coming to an end apparently, as one
It's-
of Bree's mods specifically.
Oh, good. All right. Well, it's been a good run. Bree, we'll see you around on the Twitch sphere.
Karaoke Night 69 says, my mom says she saw a spaceship once, but that's basically all there is to the story, unfortunately. You know what? That's completely fair. Also, just in case, because I feel like I've talked to for a bunch of people where this like was not clear to them or like didn't realize, which is like insane to me, right?
Mhm.
But it is 100% like confirmed. Like we're talking about like the Pentagon earlier this year, fully 100% confirmed that not only are there extraterrestrial like sentient extraterrestrial life, but that we have actually already made first contact and we've been talking to them for like fucking forever, and it just kind of like slipped under the radar, you know, like yeah, that's like a thing that has like, this is a real thing that happened. This is like I just want everybody to be aware of that. And like I will say, there is a very good chance that I have some of my details wrong on this, but
Hold on, I have a filter for this.
no, I think you fell asleep watching X-Files again. I have. What a time to look up. In case people missed the aliens due to circumstances, correct? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a thing that like just sort of casually flew under the radar, but it was like fully 100% confirmed by like official government sources. This is a real thing that has happened.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
So like, you know, in the past, if that had happened, I would have assumed that it was because something was imminent and we all need to be prepared. But now I'm reasonably certain it is literally only announced just so that they could like cover up something else that is happening, sort of obfuscate, like.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Misdirect.
yeah.
If that's what they're releasing to the public, what the hell are they covering up? No, I got it. It's the existence of Mothman.
Where's Zach?
Remy, come back.
Oh, Remy.
Remy, we miss you.
Yeah, we do. What was I gonna say? I was gonna take us to a totally different place. Confirm supernatural stuff to cover up chemtrails. Yeah, no. It's very true. Although I will say it's still very cool, and it makes me laugh now whenever I see any like older media from like the 90s or like early 2000s. People are like, when people talk about like aliens aren't real, as like that's just like a common thing that everybody knows, and like people get ridiculed for like believing in aliens, and I'm just like,
Have you
didn't
met
age well.
Yeah.
belongs? I think there's a sub on Reddit for this called "Aged Like Milk."
Sorry, I just turning the freaking frogs gay.
I can't read that in anything but a Boston accent.
know.
Like, turn the freaking frogs gay. Like,
Oh God. All right. So my aunt told Amethyst says my aunt told me how something shoved her down the stairs and left sizable claw marks across her back. My grandma also reported having a figure of a man sit at the end of her bed, who her dog would snarl at, and he would accuse her of killing his mother. Oh my God.
Whoa.
wow! My skin is crawling.
We're in it. We're in it now. We're in it now, everybody. We're there.
Love it.
We've reached spook. We have achieved spook.
this.
God. Oh,
That's
Love
terrifying.
Yeah, that is actually terrifying.
It is.
Not that you shared it, just the thing. I hate it.
Oh, I'm like thinking about like because most of the time I sleep all the way through the night, but like I'm just imagining waking up at like 4 a.m. or something and having that at the foot of my bed, like having Suki just howling at my door, and then wake up to that. Ugh.
Welcome to sleep paralysis.
I was gonna say, is it time?
Huh?
Is it time for Lucas to go off about the sleep paralysis demons?
I mean, maybe. Heart of Hampton says, just got here, was going to say something about not having any idea what I walked into, but it's Ramblemancy. This is par for the course.
Hey.
You know, I'm glad you feel that way, because it allows us to cover up a lot. Oh no, like Freeman, for example, we cover up Freeman sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes I'm just
throw a
too much to
blanket over it.
Yeah,
Too
sometimes.
much to handle sometimes.
Yeah, it's just.
Wow.
That was a very red entrance. Oh my God.
More
Well,
like
I do have
demon
a red.
Luoma.
I have a red LED. I'm
Yes.
putting it far away, so it only kind of slightly lights my face red, but not like too intensely. Actually, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. Turn it down just a little bit.
Yeah.
about
Yes, more like demon Luoma. All right.
Yeah.
So okay, well, wow, okay. Geek Outs has a lot to say. I'll get to that before we
Oh
get to
my.
everything else, because otherwise it will get lost in the chat probably. It says, story 1 from 1999 to around 2003. I would occasionally see this reverend type figure, always at a distance. When I would look at them, they would disappear. Never figured out who it was or why it followed me. Thankfully, it never got close. I'm pretty sure that's is Insidious just sort of based on your life? Is this like did you consult on that film? Because it's
That
like,
sounds like.
yeah, it's like The Nun, but not quite. It's like the like one step removed from being, yeah. Story 2. One night after midnight in 2000, I heard a pack of coyotes outside, and if you don't know, when they're excited, coyotes sound like hyenas. Not really. It's very true. I hear them almost every night here.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. It's creepy as fuck. There is definitely like a sort of haunting quality about their
Seriously.
calls. It's, yeah.
Especially when you live in a bowl-shaped area where everything echoes and you don't know where they're coming from.
Yeah,
quite.
exactly. Anyway, so their sounds get louder and louder till it sounds like there's a pack outside the office window. I turn on the backyard lights and there's nothing back there. That's when something, can't see what, slams into the back door. I go, nope, and run to my bedroom. It sounded like every door. Oh God, cabinets and closets included slammed. Oh my God. And yes, Jody, massive stomping sounds came up to my bedroom door and then nothing. What?
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's like
Do you still live there?
Um,
I hope not.
that's
Fucking
some. That's
Move
like
600 miles away. Change your name. Change your name again. Grow a mustache. Shave it off. Like
you go through that process. No, that sounds like Wow, that sounds very
Jesus,
violent.
there's a new house in the middle of nowhere. That's
Aggressive.
terrifying. Um,
Oh my god.
as
Oh,
hmm?
Ejafit has a really good one. As a short-sighted person who is often a little lax in putting my clothes away properly, I often wake from my early shift at 4 a.m. and see a person looking back at me. And that doesn't happen to me anymore. But when I was in college and like my clothes would just be hanging in like close proximity to me where I had thrown them the night before, like over a chair or something, like laundry chair was a demon that haunted me in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
That I've definitely had that with sleep paralysis too, where
Ugh.
like I had some some coats, or rather all of the coats on the back of a chair, and in the middle of the night, woke up and hallucinated it was something else, something a little more sinister than that. But it's not great, because then the worst part about like sleep paralysis hallucinations, when it's about like it just alters something in your room, is that when you wake up for like a split second, you realize sleep paralysis, and then your immediate next realization is it's still here, and then like
Oh,
it's the
I
worst.
hate the words "it's still here."
Mhm.
Like it's such peak horror movie or
Yeah.
like ghost story is "it's still here." Ugh,
Mhm.
I'm writing that down.
um
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I have. I'll tell a short one so I can try to remember another couple. But most of the,
Yeah.
not most, but a good number of spooky things that have happened.
I was thinking about the one
Um.
actually earlier when,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you have a different one in mind, but I was thinking about the one you were telling me when you were at work recently, like
Oh
when you
God,
still
yeah.
work.
That's a good one actually.
Yeah.
The ones that I think about the most often, or most often, are the ones where I'm in the woods at night. Because
Hmm.
up until I was like 11, 12, I lived out in the country, about 30, 40 minutes away from here,
Hmm.
south of here, and I'd always go out and do stuff, or I'd hear the dog like yapping, the neighbor's dog, and I'd go and feed it because they were away on a business trip. So a lot of spooky things happened at night, in the woods. Um, but I think the one at work is pretty freaky. I'll say that one because that's
Yeah.
freshest to my memory.
Yeah.
I believe the one that I told you, Lucas, is the one where I smelled
Yeah, the goat man
copper.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, goat man stuff.
Okay.
There's I was
Goatman is.
cleaning. I was cleaning. It was late at night, and as most of that job ended up being late at night, and dishwashing. So I'm cleaning everything and making everything spick and spam, fresh for the morning crew, and I'm cleaning everything, cleaning.
Doing this.
Everything is stainless steel. Everything is shut down, and I'm scrubbing away, and then suddenly this waft of copper, like old copper pennies, comes like wafting through, and I'm not really sure what it is because like the machine's off. There's nothing venting. There's no airflow. It just suddenly passes by, and that's it, really. But just like the feeling I had was
Didn't you
probably the
also
most.
wasn't there like something about with a door slamming, or was that a different event?
There was a different. That was a different event
Okay.
because the fort's got some weird mojo going on in there. There was another event where it was a really windy night, but everything was closed up, and I walked down to clock out, and I thought I heard. No, I might have to tell the story once I gather my thoughts on it later. But
Sure. Yeah.
let's keep moving
Yeah.
through some other
I'm
stories.
already like super creeped out by that. Ugh.
Well, I thought
Like
maybe there was a
especially.
chemical I was working with, and there was no coppery types
Hmm.
of things. It was all very like standard, like kitchen cleaning, almost like fruity smelling shit, which I despise. But
especially
just
especially especially after I listened to the Stone Houses about Goatman, like I have
no,
Goatman is terrifying to
Yep.
me. And
yeah,
then there was that scene in Dungeons and Dorm Rooms. I think I had listened to the Goatman episode of Stone Houses shortly before we wrote that episode of
I feel
Dungeons and
like we
Dorm Rooms
did.
with the goat demons.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Bulla's out.
yeah.
Bulla's out creeped me out. I had to run them in my own D&D game to get over my like
Hmm.
fucking. I had to work out my feelings by having my players just slaughter a bunch
Here,
of
achieve catharsis for me.
yeah. Please slay these horrifying goat demons.
Yeah. Uh. Oh gosh. Okay. There's been a lot of good like chat stories that I've seen
Yeah.
fly by here. I saw Amethyst Cat Lady saying, One time I had a half asleep moment that still kind of fucks me up. I woke up to my alarm going off, but I couldn't hit the snooze button because there was a raven with glowing red eyes squawking at me and trying to bite my hand every time I reached out.
No, I'm going
Oh.
back in. No, I'm putting the hood back on. I'm putting the hood back on.
In hindsight, the sound was likely my alarm and the glow was maybe the digital number, but nope. Fair, yeah.
Oof.
Quoth the raven, wake up, motherfucker.
Cross the raven, don't you fucking hit that snooze button.
Yeah. Wow.
I liked it better when
lovely.
you said nevermore.
I think my
Oh, but
my
nevermore. I get it. I understand what it means. It's nevermore. Hit the snooze button. Never again. Like you're done.
Exactly.
We cracked it right here on Ramblemancy. We cracked it. We understand now.
Edgar Allan Poe is way ahead of his time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Karaoke Night 69 says, my mom has all the stories. Dang it! But she was babysitting, and after she put the kid to bed, she put away all the games they'd been playing. She was confident she'd put everything away, so she sits down on the couch, looks down, and there are 2 poker chips perfectly set to look like eyes, and she got really freaked out. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Geek Out says, so I think I saw a UFO once, nothing super intense, just a strange light in the sky in the distance, moving in a circle, then zoomed off, and was camping in Fort Davis Mountains in West Texas when we heard strange howling noises that were not coyotes or wolves or anything like that, so we said it was a redneck Bigfoot. I love that. I love that. What? Oh, gosh. Poe is clapping from beyond the Stygian shore. Yes,
Nice.
I love that.
Good.
That's good.
Oh gosh.
Because I
huh?
because I could not stop for death. Death kindly stopped for me, but I had hit the snooze button, so he just kept going.
Yeah, just kind of like, You know what? You know what? Keep going. You got this.
you got this.
Well, I guess I will share. I don't know what. I guess I was already talking about sleep paralysis, so I'll just keep going. Most of these are just sort of like little stories that are like difficult to even like fully verbalize, because a lot of the stuff with sleep paralysis, for those who have never experienced it, is a lot of it is more of like a feeling than actually. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is on my. Okay, I figured it out. A lot of it's more of like the feeling that you're having while you're doing it, because your brain is still like, you're still like kind of partially asleep, and so what ends up happening is you're in a you're perfectly positioned, even though you're awake, you are perfectly positioned to like dream in the same way that that you would. So like the very real place where you are gets altered in certain terrifying ways, because from my understanding, it is your brain panicking because your body is not responding to like. And so your brain panics, and the panic creates terrifying like visuals and stuff like that. Anyway, so the very first time I experienced sleep paralysis was I think I usually talk about like when I started experiencing it was when I was 15, but that's when I started experiencing it regularly. The very first time it happened, I think I was like 13, 14 maybe. And I was my bed faced the door to my room, which was closed, and the my closet, which was like one of those panel doors, like sliding kind of panel doors, was partially open. And I think what happened was I actually did wake up, and I sat up and then kind of fell back to sleep, and then sleep paralysis hit. While I was kind of in a sitting position, because I remember like looking in that direction towards my closet, and I remember feeling this just like really strange sensation of being like exposed and like not knowing from where exactly, but just feeling like very exposed. And then suddenly like seeing the door, like the panel door of the closet sort of move a little bit, and I looked over. And I remember seeing this sort of like gray hand like reach out and tap on the door to get my attention, and I'm like looking at it, and you know when you're asleep and you're dreaming and you try to speak, it just comes out like right.
And that makes it worse because you're like, I can't
you
say
can't
the
you
thing I
can't
want to say.
say, and I'm trying to say like I'm trying to go like, who are you, and that's that for whatever reason, that's the question my brain chose to ask in that moment. That's what I was asking, and the hand like just sort of like this on the outside of the closet door just sort of went like that, just sort of beckoned me over, and yeah, uh, and then finally like I kept asking over and over, trying, and then finally I actually managed to force it out, and that's what woke me up, and I woke up like saying it, and yeah, that was my first experience with sleep paralysis.
Oh my God.
Good times.
Terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a period of time in my life where my sleep paralysis, where it was pretty regular and it was like escalating, like my sleep paralysis hallucinations were escalating. Um, so yeah, some of those got pretty intense, but yeah,
Oh my God.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a
Just
pretty
to
minor one.
yeah, I had a like very vivid hallucinations like a couple nights ago.
Really?
Yeah, I could move freely. I like opened my eyes suddenly, and there were just two giant spiders almost landing on my face. And I like rolled out of my cot and
Oh,
like
no.
looked around, and like I thought I saw legs crawling behind the curtain, like moving away from my view. And then I like couldn't. I like stopped moving because I was like looking around, and I'm like, am I dreaming? That's just unreal. I can't be hallucinating that badly. I like moved the curtain with like nothing there, but
Hmm.
like, and I don't know. That hasn't happened. Like I'll have weird sleep things, like I'll like the feeling of falling, and then you wake up, like that kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
But I've never had that kind of hallucination before. It was kind of weird.
Ooh, I hate that.
Yeah, spiders
That
too.
does happen to me sometimes. Not the same exact thing, but that kind of thing where like where you wake up from a dream and your eyes like immediately come open and like haven't fully adjusted and like are still like seeing weird shit, even though like you're not seeing it. It's just sort of like the
Yeah,
weird like shifting of the like your eyes trying to adjust to the dark and whatever. But
right.
like that has happened to me specifically with spiders, actually, where like I was having a dream about spiders and I wake up and I think I'm seeing them everywhere, even though I know in the moment
Oh,
that's not what I'm seeing. But
yeah.
like, yeah, doesn't sound like the same thing, but yeah, like that kind of thing has happened to me before.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Nope, not my face.
yeah. Okay, I saw more things. Um, let's see.
And with this cat lady had some up there. She has said, I have some scary stories that. Did we read that one? I don't think we read
No,
that one.
I don't think so.
So I have some scary stories that when we found out what was really happening turned out to be hilarious. The first one, 4 kids home alone, me being one, obviously, heard scary thumps coming from the basement. We did not go check because obviously that meant we'd get killed. We've all seen horror movies. You were right. Um, my mom came home to investigate. It was my ill brother occasionally bumping the wall in his sleep.
Good. Yep.
Oh, I've had that experience too, where like I was home alone or something and heard like weird skittering sounds on the wall or something, and then like it turned out that it was literally just the cat like stretching up along the wall, and it was her, like she'd stretch out her claws too, and not like claw the wall, but then she'd just kind of like slide back down and be like
Yeah.
my God. And then Amethyst Cat Lady's other one was my cousin and I having a sleepover at another cousin's house/room. We sat for a solid hour, psyching ourselves out over a mysterious glowing in the corner of the room. Finally turned on the light to find that it was a glow-in-the-dark hand puppet of Casper the Friendly Fucking Ghost. It was a ghost. It was literally a ghost.
It absolutely was a ghost. Um, Bree is apparently going to be telling us some ghost stories, but that aren't scary, just calm moments of supernatural fun. Interesting. I'm
Hmm.
excited to hear.
I
Um,
eerie supernatural things that aren't scary is like my favorite aesthetic. So I'm excited for these.
uh, Yeah, I feel you, Amethyst Cat Lady. Pretty much anytime I get sleep paralysis, I end up waking myself up from trying so hard to do things. Yeah, I agree. I I got to a point in my sleep paralysis where like, and this is where I started sort of like, this was like after the peak of like the really terrifying shit. I got to a point in my sleep paralysis where my reaction was not panic. My reaction was more like, are you? Of course this is happening." And then I would just sort of sit there and try to write it out, and then like try to like I would try to wake myself up, and I just knew what was happening at that point. I was like so used to it that I was just like, "Fucking again," and like and that was my reaction rather than panic. So like then I like because of that, as a result of that, I didn't see any like um I didn't have any weird hallucinations or anything like that. Oh, and then because of that, then it just like slowly started de-escalating, and then I don't remember the last time I had sleep paralysis as like any notable event. Like occasionally it happens, just every so often, but it's just sort of like a small moment that I almost immediately wake up from. Like not even enough to note it. Like not not having achieved full lucidity during it. Just sort of like a
Mhm.
vague memory of being unable to move. Um, let's see. I just now realized that one of my socks is on inside out, which I thought might have happened when I put it on, but
Ah,
then
Ah.
didn't check afterwards. That's what happens when you put your socks on in the dark.
true.
Because you're a ghost.
Because you're a ghost, exactly. And everybody knows that ghosts are very bad at putting on socks. I don't know. I didn't
Yeah,
know
of
where that was
course.
going.
Well, you're not used to having feet because you just drift around.
Exactly. What
There's
about
some
ghost
truth there.
socks, John? Checkmate.
Mm.
Oh shit. I've been bamboozled.
Your move,
Um,
atheists. Okay, no, I'm sorry. Um,
Bree's got a story in chat. Bruh. Uh, when I was a kid, I saw ghosts and supernatural stuff all the time. My most vivid one was when I was really little and I was sitting around with my mom and I heard footsteps coming down the stairs. And I looked and I saw a blue woman outline and an orange man outline walking down the stairs. I asked my mom if my dad was home and she said no. And then at that point, they passed the threshold of the stairs and vanished. I shrugged and went about my day.
Bree's just kind
Very
of like
cool.
little Bree's just kind of like. I mean, it happens, you know. Sometimes an orange woman and a blue, or an orange man and a blue woman walk through your house, and you know, it just kind of happens sometimes.
It was early testing versions of the Blue Man Group formula.
The orange man didn't test as well. Didn't test as well with certain audiences.
Yeah, they ultimately went with blue.
Yeah.
That's wild though.
Yeah, seriously, that's um yeah, no, like I was thinking about that and like there's a story that I think I've told before, which is like when my parents were like working on somebody's house, or they were like doing like a remodel of a bathroom or something like that. Anyway, the bathroom was like upstairs, and like my dad told me not to like wander or anything like that. Told me to stick close or whatever. And at one point he looked around and realized that I like wasn't in eyesight, and like went out to the outside of the bathroom, looked to one side, and I was like standing at the top of the stairs looking down, and there was like nobody else in the house. And my dad like walks over, and or like walks kind of out and is like, "Lucas, what are you doing?" And I'm like, I must be like 2 years old, and maybe not even two. And I turned around and I like pointed down the stairs and I said, you know, the police. And my dad was like, "Oh shit, okay, why are the police here?" And so like he walks over to the top of the stairs and looks down, and I'm like still pointing and there's nothing there. And he's like, "What?" And I'm like pointing, I'm like, "Police." And then I'm just like, anyway, so as it turns out, later they didn't think much of it. They're just like, okay, whatever. But the couple whose house it was came back and they were, or like maybe they went. I don't remember how it was. But they came back and where they were talking to them and they were like saying something, and I guess like it came up in conversation somewhere, like somehow about like police. Like I think out of idle curiosity, like my dad was like, "Hey, was there like any like kind of like police associated with this place or anything like that?" And the woman went like and then they grabbed a picture of like somebody like a previous owner of the house or something like that, who and when he showed the picture, it was a postman. And of course, like the old postman uniforms, they've got the hat, they've got the uniform, they've like the whole thing. So and like there's no way I saw that picture beforehand because like this was in like a totally different building. I think the one that we hadn't been in when we started or whatever. And, yep. So yeah.
What?
I
Mhm.
love that
I'm
story.
convinced that children can actually see things that adults
Mhm. Oh,
cannot.
absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
convinced. It's my favorite story trope, but I'm pretty sure it's a trope for a reason. Like,
Mm-hmm.
also, I remembered an absolutely fucking wild one while you were talking about my grandma's old place, which like my paternal grandmother like basically raised my younger brother and I because she ran a daycare, and her big old like two-story house had a big like basement that was full of all kinds of kids' toys and stuff, and there was a room. There's a bathroom upstairs, and then like a couple of bedrooms, one where she put the babies when they were napping, so that like the kids in the rest of the house wouldn't wake them up. And then another like spare bedroom where there was a very old TV, a very old like CRT television, um, and a Nintendo 64. And like every so often, like for a little bit of time, some days we would be able to go up and play games up there. And there was a very specific whine that TV made when it was on. And so like everybody was downstairs for lunch, and like 8-year-old me went up to go use the restroom, and like it was lunchtime, so nobody was allowed upstairs. And I went up, used the bathroom, and then as I was leaving it, I heard just from down the hall, I heard the whine of the TV, and I was like, oh, maybe somebody left it on this morning when they were playing games. And so I walked in, and like I saw legitimately like 3 kids that I knew sitting there playing games, and like I fucking like I I like I like stepped back around the corner because it was weird. And then like I look around the corner, like I poke my head back around again, and they're all gone. TV's off. There's no game cartridge in the fucking Nintendo 64. I walk downstairs, and there all of them are. Like out in the living room waiting for my grandma to come get them for lunch. And I'm like, what just happened?
Huh.
I don't. Ah!
Nope.
I'm convinced that something lived up there. Like I would be up there sometimes alone because like I was the favorite grandchild among all of the other babysitting kids, and like the house would just like creak like there were people walking up and down the hallway up there when there was nobody up there.
Yep.
Like I'm convinced that somebody just lived up there.
Yep. Terrifying.
Yep.
Let's see. Saw a bunch of things earlier. Heart of Himprint says I spent 20 minutes spooked out on Wednesday, convinced that someone had gotten into the house and was moving around upstairs. I had been on a Zoom call but turned it off and could suddenly hear all of these sounds above me. I ran around locking doors to keep it away from me. Finally, I realized that my mom had mentioned that she had talked to a neighbor about coming over to clean the gutters, and that was what I was hearing near the roof line. Funny how easily we can spook ourselves. It's very true.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. That's terrifying. And then Karaoke Night 69 says, that happened to me once. I was convinced someone was upstairs, but it turned out the culprit was the Roomba I myself had put up there 15 minutes previous. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Sometimes we do
God.
it to ourselves.
Yeah. In the words of Obi-Wan Kenobi, you have done that yourself. All right.
True.
Yeah,
Wise words. Wise words.
truly. Brie has another time I was walking to the car ready to go to kindergarten and looked at my garden, and the outline of the foliage made like a woman shape with big fairy wings and told me something, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh, that's the key. If you can remember what it is.
I'm pretty sure that you have to like go get lost in your garden again and just wander around for a while until you find it. And then like tell it what it told you then, and you will have unlocked some like strange powerful secret.
It's very true. I think that is if every fantasy book, movie, TV show, every kind of media has taught me anything, it's that John is absolutely correct, 100%. Um, Bree also has another one actually. A lot of other times there was large shaggy teen in my room. I could never see his face, but I was never afraid of him. He was a bit weird, but he just seemed to hang out. He came with me on a car ride once, and I started to talk to him, and my mom freaked out.
What?
Huh.
Well, that's okay. All right.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that would freak me out too.
Yeah,
I
my my daughter just starts talking to somebody who's not there. Like,
yep. Yeah. Um, Amethyst said, when I was a kid, I remember one morning that my mom was calling me to get up from the bathroom at the top of the stairs, as she usually did. I opened my eyes and saw the light on and shadows of movement and everything, but I didn't want to get up. I told myself I'd get up next time she called for me, and she never did. Hmm. Weird. I have definitely had that kind of thing happen to me before, where like there's somebody calling me from the other room, and I'll like answer, but then I hear them call me again, and I like so I get up and I like go over, and I like it was like I think one time it was with my mom, and another time it was I know it happened another time. I'm trying to remember if it was in college or not. I don't think it was, but went into the other room and was like, yeah, what did you need? And my mom just looked at me like, what? Because apparently she hadn't called me. So yeah, that was a thing that has happened to me before.
uh, it was during fall when this one happened, but like I was home. It was in a period where I was like home from college because I was sick at the time, and so like mom was at work and Colin was at school, and I had the house all to myself. Just sort of like a chilly, I think like early October or like early November day. I can't remember when exactly in the fall it was. I just remember that it was like that kind of pale fall, late fall, early winter light. Um, and I just like I felt I didn't like I can't say that I really heard too many things around the house because like we had two cats and I was used to hearing sounds around the house. I just like felt the whole like for like a straight hour that there was somebody around. Like I just had the feeling that there was somebody else in the room like basically the whole time, even if the cats like weren't there or like were off doing their own thing or sunning themselves somewhere else, or like do what they did in the winter often, which was to huddle like climb underneath the sheets on mom's bed and just hang out in there and be little lumps beneath the comforter. But like I wound up
Comfort
just like
lumps.
we called them cat lumps.
That works too.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but I remember just like at one point I just was like, hello. And then just for the rest of the like morning and early afternoon, I just like fucking when I was doing stuff, I would just chat aloud to no like to my empty house because I was like, I can't shake the feeling that somebody is home, so I'm just gonna
This
talk to them.
this reminds me of what I actually think of as one of the scariest Doctor Who episodes.
Oh yeah.
It was during Peter Capaldi's run as the Doctor. There's that one episode where he has this theory that, like, I think I might have even mentioned this on stream before, but there's that one episode where he has this theory that um, nobody's ever actually truly alone, like, and but not in like the nice way where it's but basically where he's like he talks about like he has this theory that there's these creatures that like that are there, like it's why you start talking to yourself out loud when there's nobody else around, because what if you're not alone, and like that kind of thing, and like subconsciously your mind knows it kind of thing, and like he has this whole thing where he's like obsessed with this. And that episode was super weird because at one point there were some very real actual things that episode shows us, as like there's one point where they're like at an orphanage somewhere, and like there's a kid who's like hiding under a blanket, and they're like or he's hiding under the bed in the orphanage, and Clara is like hiding under there with him, and like because he's scared, and she's like talking through him, and he's like, wait a minute, is there somebody else? is one of your friends in here? And he's like, no, there's nobody else. And she's like, okay. And he's like, why? She's like, because then who's sitting on the bed? And then it like zooms out and they like both come out from under the bed and there's like somebody sitting under one of the blankets. And like, it's terrifying, but it's like, but then at the end, it turns out, this is spoilers for the Doctor Who episode. I don't think it makes it any worse. But at the end of the whole episode, because there's this whole thing, like the Doctor's theory is based on the fact that that like he's convinced that at some point across all of human history and like everywhere, or not just human history, but just history everywhere in time and space, doesn't matter where, that somebody at some point, everybody at one point in their life has the dream where they like when they wake up in the middle of the night, they get up, they put their feet on the ground, and something grabs them from under the bed. Right? And because he himself had this dream, and so he, like, as a kid, and so anyway, it turns out at the end of the episode, when he had this dream, it actually wasn't a dream, and it was Clara who was under the bed and like had grabbed his, because time bullshit. But yeah, like, so I'm not sure what that episode was trying to tell us, because like it was like these things are definitely real, but then at the end it seemed like the conclusion was no, they super aren't. And I don't know, it was just very strange episode. I love that episode so much, but
Yeah, that's fucking wild.
is
Like,
it called? I feel like the episode's called Whisper. No, the Whisper something. It's called. I don't remember what it's called. Don't turn around. No, I don't remember the name of that episode, but it's a very very good episode. I love it.
it reminds me a lot of The Silence, but
Mhm.
less like aggressively like evil or horrifying. Just like
Yeah, it's just like these things that like just exist. Like they literally go to the end of the universe because they're like, what happens to these creatures theoretically if they exist when literally nobody else is around? They're the last creatures to be around or whatever. And so they go to try to find them. It's listen, thank you, Geek Outs. I knew it was something like that. It was like a one word thing. Yes, listen.
there's so many Doctor Who episodes where like that are just straight amazing, like existential horror that are one word episodes. It's so good.
Yeah, like
Midnight, I think.
Midnight. That's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, I was
Midnight
gonna
is
say
another Doctor
Midnight.
Who episode that during David Tennant's time that like to me like everybody cites the Weeping Angels as being the scariest thing in Doctor Who, and I absolutely emphatically disagree.
Midnight and the Satan Pit. Those two are like,
Ooh, the Satan Pit. That's a good. It's like 2 episodes, right? It's 2
I
parts.
think it's
There's like
three, actually. I think it's a
I think
three-parter.
it's 2 because I think
Really?
part 1 is the Impossible Planet, and then part 2 is the Satan Pit. I'm pretty sure. That's,
Right.
yeah.
I think
Because
yeah,
I think
you
what
might
you're
be-
thinking of is there is another episode that's very similar, has
Oh,
a
but
very
they're
similar
on the
setup, but they're like it's a very similar setup, but it's like the one where it turns out that like there's like a fuel scooping ship that actually is accidentally scooped up part of a sentient star.
That's the one that I'm
It's
thinking
a
of.
very similar setup. I always confuse those as well. So like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Blink was a perfectly made horror movie. But
it
yeah,
was,
there's
but I think it is scary, but Weeping Angels are kind of jump scares. That's all they are, and like. Yeah.
I had to I
I mean,
had
the
to
concept of them
stop.
is kind of terrifying too. But like, yeah,
I was binging New Who in college and I had to stop watching The Impossible Planet because I had been binging since like late evening, like from early evening. I kind of like had it running while I was finishing up some homework, and then I just watched and watched and watched and watched and watched, wrapped up in a blanket with a mug of hot cocoa because it
Mhm.
was fall, um, or like winter, and I lived on the west side of Farwell, so it was cold as shit. Like,
yeah,
um, you could when the wind blew hard against the outside of
oh,
that building, you could feel it in the central cluster room. Like,
yeah,
um, but I had to stop watching The Impossible Planet because like it just freaked me out so much because it was late at night and I had all the lights in my room off, except for like a desk lamp on the other side of the room, and I had to watch it the next day in broad daylight. Like,
yeah. I'm pretty sure I watched those episodes with somebody because it was when my friend was like trying to get me into Doctor Who. Uh, and so she and I were like in my room and just watching it, and I just was repeatedly like turning to her and very like she thought it was hilarious, but I just kept repeatedly turning to her throughout various points in the episode and just apparently with like very like no expression, just going, well, that's fucking terrifying. And she thought that was the funniest thing in the world. But yeah.
Bree had one way up there.
Yeah.
Said, I mean, to be fair, my dad always told me that when I was little, that two monsters would guard my crib. I apparently got scared of them, so they changed their form to something less scary as I got older. I kind of always assumed Goldie and that amorphous boy were those protecting monsters. Oh, it's very sweet. Goldie being, I think, your old imaginary golden retriever.
I saw this and I thought it was very funny, which was I know that you say it's extremely scary karaoke night, but I think it's funny. One of the scariest episodes of X-Files is the one where there's this legless Indian mystic that kills people for no reason by like crawling up their ass and living inside them. You can hear him coming by the squeaking of the little board he wheels around. He wheels himself around on, like, what the fuck? Yeah, that's I, d- I have nothing to add to that. Like, that's just perfection,
Yeah.
you know? Like, I have nothing to add. Wild.
He says, I'm way more afraid of corrupted people / eldritch horror than supernatural stuff.
Fair enough.
I think I reside. I feel like I write a fair bit of like eldritchy horror, but it's mostly to work out my own fear of the way that it like interacts with the mind and memory and everything else. Because like memory loss and like loss of cognition are like, I don't think that's an uncommon fear, but it's one of like, it's a big one for me. So eldritch horror taps into that a lot.
Yeah. It's interestingly, John, I believe H.P. Lovecraft wrote for the same reason that you do, is to work out his own fears. Unfortunately, his fears were other people with different skin colors. Anyway,
Yeah.
I
Lovecraft.
think your reason is a little bit better.
Yeah,
Just a
I'm
little-
like, I'm terrified of the loss of the thing that makes me essentially sentient, and Lovecraft was afraid of other people with more melanin.
God, yeah.
I will thank Lovecraft for kind of coining a genre of horror and for literally nothing else.
I don't know about coining, because I think that there were others writing that genre prior to, or at least contemporary with,
Oh yeah?
Lovecraft. I believe so. I don't know any examples off the top of my head, but I feel like that wasn't his invention. Or even
He's just the one that gets the...
I don't even think he was the one who popularized it, to be completely honest. I think he's just sort of somebody who is stuck in. He was just very prolific, but you know,
Which unfortunately is one of the good ways to get yourself into curriculum, is being prolific.
yeah. Oh no, people who are slightly better at surviving in harsh sunlight, so scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, I'm terrified of their power because I don't know how that works, but you know what? Like, it's a different kind of scared. It's like scared and impressed, and like, you know, being able to survive in harsh sunlight for long periods of time. I don't know what that's like. That's impressive.
I freckle, and then I freckle, and then I freckle, and then I turn it about the same shade of red as I am wearing right now.
Mhm.
So like, actually it's closer to like fire engine red. So
Yeah. Yeah, okay, confirmed. Lovecraft managed to be most popular to this day because of other racists. Also, yeah, a lot of words. Fair enough. And you know what the thing is, like, and this sucks to to say, because I actually do like like a lot of his writing style, but there are like other people who like who have kind of similar writing styles that, you know, maybe were a lot less terrible. So
in a contemporary setting, Dred Singles's short fiction and tweets and stuff are so cool. I love all of the shit that guy comes out with. It's so
Yeah.
weird, but like,
yeah, I'm trying to think of like, I've never been able to fully like describe the specifics that I'm talking about in terms of the writing. Anyway, that's not important, and we're not talking about that. That's okay. I I do like this comment though. Okay, let me stop for a second. I'm gonna read your comment and your thing because I think it's interesting, an interesting point. But I also want to clarify. How do you say your handle? Because I want to make sure I'm saying it right. But they say, I'll be honest, if I could get to Relia, I probably would. Eldritch horror triggers the discovery of unknown. And I think that's really cool. That's a really cool thing. And you're absolutely right. And I realized when I read that, I was like, I thought through that for a second, and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. And I realized that's how I use it so often. I use it as like in my own fiction and storytelling, whatever. I use Eldritch horror as like it's scary and having those same thrills and whatnot, but um also I usually go from there to like discovering something new about the world, and I think that's interesting. I never thought about that before now.
Yeah, actually, from what I know of your writing, that that tracks.
That's really interesting. I'm so glad you brought that up because I don't think I would have ever really, I mean, it would have taken me a lot longer, I think, to like think about that and realize that. That's super cool. Sorry. Anyway, I got very excited about that.
I really hope my mic didn't pick that up.
Oh, I heard it. I heard all of it.
Oh God.
Um,
I'm so sorry, chat. Spine cracking ASMR.
That sounded very satisfying. Now I want to get mine going.
I spent an hour lying on one of those shitty like cold MRI beds this morning, lying in the hot dog bun, listening to somebody hammered magnets together above my head for an hour, and also Hamilton because they put headphones on. Like, what do you want to listen to? And I was like, I don't know, musicals.
Age of Fit. Okay, cool. Got it. Basically gibberish. I smash my hand on the keyboard when I make my AIM messenger screen name. All right, fair enough. So this is unrelated to anything that we've been talking about, which I feel like is par for the course on Ramblemancy. But I had this thought earlier, and I think it was when you were talking about something, John, because like the way that you were saying it made it sound like you were pitching something, and I just thought, wouldn't it be fun to have a whole episode of Ramblemancy where we just pitch terrible fiction or pitch terrible like TV shows or movies? I feel like that would be so fun. Like
That actually, I'm gonna write that down. Pitch episode of Ramblemancy.
Yeah, just a whole episode of
In a
Ramblemancy where we just
world
pitch the worst ideas that we can think of for like stories.
Oh my God, we could play off of chat so well.
That
Sorry,
would be
we're just
so fun.
We're shopping an episode of Ramblemancy live with chat right now. Honest to God, it would be so fun just to see what chat comes up with, and then just to like improv off of it.
Legitimately though, I am saying this in part so that it stays in the collective memory, because I know if I don't say it now, I will forget it, and as we all know, I'm allergic to using pencils. So, this was not that funny.
I'm sorry, that just got me really bad. Like,
the delivery was
it was so good, and like it's because I know you.
Yeah, that graphite, man, it'll get you. It really will. Freeman, don't you have graphite still in your body somewhere? I feel like you do.
Yeah.
From being
I
stabbed
do.
with a pencil.
Yeah. Indeed. I was stabbed by a pencil.
Mhm.
Graphite's still there. I also crashed my bike
Not
going
like-
down a really slippery hill, and
For
I have a
for
road.
clarity, Freeman, when we say he was stabbed by a pencil, we mean that like an anthropomorphic pencil came up with a switchblade and just like stabbed him real quick. That's what we meant by
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Spooky, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I remember I remember your arm that contains a piece of road in it.
Yeah. Skidded, and it still there's still a little bit of asphalt in there. It's there's a bit of a dent and scar tissue, and then a very dark discoloring where there's still a little bit of the road.
Age of Fit says save it for the pitch episode, Lucas. Fair enough. Okay, that'll be my horror movie pitch for that episode of Ramblemancy. Geek Outs actually did have something and is asking me a question about it, because Lucas, did you grow up with El Cocoy or El Coco and other parts of Central South America? I don't think so. And Geek Outs is referencing what he said earlier, which is I grew up to be told that El Cucuy or La Llorona or other spirits would get me if I misbehaved. Then I would argue with my uncles and aunts that Cucuy wasn't in the shop but the garage, and then they'd freak out. Excellent. Turn it just right around on them. It's perfect. Amethyst says, Freeman, did you put the ass in asphalt? No, but the road put the asphalt in his ass.
This isn't a ghost story, but in a game of campus-wide tag back in college, I put the face in faceplant. That's why I am missing a portion of this eyebrow. Again, not a ghost story. I've told that one on stream before.
It is a ghost story because there is a ghost of part of your eyebrow that now exists somewhere thanks to that.
It haunts campus now, the parking lot between Jensen and the library.
Do we both have a eyebrow scarage on the
is
right
it
eye?
Is it your right eyebrow?
Yeah, it's from having my eyebrow piercing rip out during the night.
God, terrible. Every time you say that, it makes me so uncomfortable. My entire body just clenched.
You know, the way they pierce it, there's really not a whole lot of skin in the first place. And since
we're not. Nope. We're done.
Consistently
we're done talking. We're stop.
cells and growing cells.
Nope. Stop. You're done. Okay. We're okay. We're.
Don't get eyebrow piercings. Or if you do, then there's something that might happen.
Terrible.
It wasn't. Well, I was asleep, so it wasn't painful. I do have another spooky story.
Yeah.
Lay it on me. Lay it on me.
Well, okay. So usually my routine at the hour when everyone leaves is I close all the doors. If you're coming in after your shift from the bar, a couple blocks down, it's an extension of the restaurant. Well, you better know the door code, and you should because you've been working there for like a couple of years. Anyway, so I close up all the doors. I'm the only one there at like 11, and it's very windy. And I think I'm at the mopping stage. Yes, I'm at the mopping stage for details later. And I'm around the corner and the door slams, and I think, that's weird. I closed all the doors. I make sure to close all the doors because I'm the only one there, and there's produce and there's food. So I go down and I look around and I open the door and I look outside. It's really windy, but there's no one there. Close the door, and I'm like, well, since I'm down here and I'm so close to being done with work, I might as well clock out. Oh, and I have to do my hours. So I go to the office and I'm going to do my hours, and then I hear the door open and close again. And I hear tiny human feet, bare feet, walking the hall up towards the kitchen proper. And I stop at this point, and I'm like, no. Like, I'm laughing right now because, like, it's just so ridiculous, the whole situation. Just like the day I had leading up to that point. And just bare feet.
It was
a little
Gollum.
Human. And I go out and I look, and I don't actually see bare footprints on the floor. I don't. I was gonna add that in there for flavor, but it's not true to the story. But I did hear these footsteps, and then I hear these very angry, aggressive voices outside. It sounds like a conversation of these two men, and I'm like, oh, is it maintenance? Are they having a fight? It's like, is this maintenance? Is this the bartender?
The maintenance guys are like beefing over turf. They're like,
Yeah,
hey, this is my scheduled time.
Is the bartender like, but why is she bare? What the hell's going on? I go out, I look out. There's no voices, and there's no little child. Because that's what it sounded like. It sounded like a little kid running across the floor.
It was Frodo Baggins and Sean Bean just arguing over the ring outside.
Yeah, it was the modern adaptation of the Fellowship of the Ring. It was like it was the end of it. You know that scene where they're like outside of like a commercial kitchen, and they're like arguing about who took whose bacon. Remember that? And then it says something about taking his ring or something. You know, I don't remember. I didn't watch the movie. I'm more of
boil
a
them,
fan
and
of the
then
original.
you mash them. You better boil them, and then you mash them, not the other way around.
Then you stick them in the stew.
And You stick them in the stew. Wasn't Peninsula College like some kind of freaky hospital of some kind?
I think it was actually.
Yeah,
I
some,
vaguely
like,
remember hearing that,
mesh.
but I don't know how much of that is bullshit and how much of that is true.
Yeah, I don't either. But I thought maybe it was connected. I don't know.
See,
Anyway.
like the thing that makes me uncertain about that one is the fact that like they talk about it being sort of like a mental ward or mental hospital, but like this is a military
Yeah.
fort, so like I'm
Well, I
not saying
thought
that doesn't.
maybe after.
Oh, you mean after? Oh, after it was
After.
decommissioned? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
What
about
was?
that.
Well, there's like different things going on with the fort. I think. Well, lots of different things have happened there, but
Fair.
it's been owned by different companies, and I thought maybe it was like a mental ward. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Geekout says it could have been 2-foot Bob who is blue with orange eyes and an asshole shapeshifter. I can't
Oh man.
decide if you're talking about a real thing or if you are like feeding into the whole like pitching terrible ideas, because I love that if it is the second one. um um
Can we fix it?
Oh, but this does. Speaking of the fort, this actually does remind me of my favorite local cryptid, which I did tease that we would be talking about, that I would be bringing up on stream. And
Cryptid.
I did talk about this on Twitter today. And actually, my favorite local cryptid is in fact it's Freeman. It's Freeman. It's that video of Freeman that I think we talked about a couple weeks ago. That Crystal put that in the Discord, I believe, in the Ramblemancy channel. But yeah, it's
10 real photos that have left skeptics stumped.
I love that
is what it's titled, I believe.
so much.
And it's just a picture.
It's just a picture of Freeman. Like if you know him, you can look at it and just like, that's Freeman. I think that's just Freeman. Like
that's a 18-year-old Freeman. I don't know.
And it's really funny because they're like the whole time in the video they're like, was it a ghost? Is it the soul of the soldier who mistakenly killed himself in a fire or in a misfire? Come back to seek revenge, angrily stalking the. Nope, it's Freeman. It is Freeman at the age of 18 or 19, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
It's very funny to me.
That's so good. I'm glad you mentioned that.
I just felt like I needed to bring that up because I knew what was going to happen is we were going to get into all these like scary stories of things that happened to us, and I figured I'd lighten the mood.
With how I accidentally made it into popularity.
Yeah. And it says
I showed a lot
it's
of
Freeman
people.
laughing his ass off. Yeah, absolutely. Like I truly feel like in that photo, I truly believe that you're just like you were actually smiling for the camera, that you were like aware of what was happening and that you were just smiling for the camera, which
Maybe, or I'm just smiling maniacally because I know I'm scaring the piss out of these people. I'm just so happy. I'm like
that is truly
embarrassed.
Truly one of my favorite things that has ever happened in this town. Oh, God.
My mind was so the work up to that. I had like the video before that was like 10 cursed books you don't want to have in your house,
right?
And a bunch of like supernatural stuff. And leading up, then I watched that was the last one, and at the final video, I was done. I was like, all right, that's enough. That's enough. YouTube for me. Mom, check this out. She's like, oh, that's you. I showed you.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I'm on TV.
Yeah, look.
That's so fun. The thing that makes it the funniest though is how like it's on one of those like fucking very like the schlocky like here are mysteries, unexplained mysteries, proof of the supernatural, and they like play it up like this is so dramatic and terrifying, and they go into this backstory about how the fort is haunted because a soldier who was like cleaning his rifle sometime forever ago when the fort was active like had it go off by accident and accidentally like killed himself that way and like is haunting the thing. They turn into this whole dramatic thing. It's even got the pulsing music, that boom boom music, and it's fucking Freeman. It's some stupid fucking like teenager who's just like creeping around.
It's not my best work. It's not my best picture, guys.
I disagree.
I can just hear like the whole time from like there's the boom from the people who are filming it, and then from Freeman's side there's just boom, blum 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 blum.
If you think about it though,
Mm.
even if people saw us, our familiarity with that geography, with those bunkers, and the speed and the rehearsal and the amount of work we put into actually
That's
getting
true.
climbing up in those places is kind of supernatural.
It
in
is a
weird
little
way.
bit. We got
Or
very
superhuman.
good. This is not about scary stories or anything like that. Although I suppose it was, depending on whose perspective you're talking about. But Freeman and I, when we were teens, one of our favorite pastimes was to go into the bunkers in the summer, in the local state park, the fort, and just like run around, and we would scare tourists because we knew those bunkers better than anybody basically. And there are these little like crawl spaces up above that if you know where to go, you can like climb up pretty easily. We got very good at climbing very quickly, so there were many times during the summers where like we would scare tourists, and when it was tourists who were like around our age, sometimes it would result in them like getting pissed off that we had scared them and chasing us. And so that would result in that classic horror movie scene where like we're running, they're chasing us, we go around a corner, then they come around the corner and we're just gone. And
Yep, that's how good we got.
we got very good at that. It was
like it's movie magic, but live.
Yeah.
There was ways that we could like close these giant iron doors without our hands being seen from a certain angle, so it looked like the doors would open and close by themselves.
Yeah.
We're admitting to crimes.
Is it crimes? I don't think this is crimes. Yeah, Amethyst said
really?
Amethyst says art. So I think we're admitting to art.
Correct. Good.
There's an emote on Twitch for this.
True.
Yes.
Yeah. It was mostly harmless. We scared children.
My favorite Douglas Adams book.
What?
Actually, mostly harmless. It's because the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy has a limited storage space. The entry for Earth was supposed to be like, the size of like all of Wikipedia, because that's what Ford Prefect had been doing on Earth. But because they had to cut it down, the editors cut it down. This was a shot probably at his editors, but the editors cut it down to 2 words. And those 2 words, like the entry for Earth, was just mostly harmless.
Amazing.
I love Douglas Adams so much.
I really, truly need to read those books. I know so much about them, but I've never read them.
You've been around me. It's a good way to learn about them by osmosis.
Yeah. I've also been watching a lot of Actually on Dropout recently, so like they have a lot of Douglas Adams and Terry Pratchett questions. So
I really do have to watch Actually.
It's very good. But yeah, although I feel like it might be having like I may have been watching it so much, like binging it too much to the point where like now I have kind of become that like pedantic asshole that they're making fun of on that show, because now I feel like I'm like in anything anybody says, I'm like looking for that thing that like, okay, what's wrong with this? Where can I correct them? And so one unintended side effects of binging that show.
You either die in or you live long enough to see yourself become the Actually.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, I'm out of here.
I am
done. That's it.
most upset about how well that worked. Like extremely, extremely stupid statement, but I'm upset at how well that worked. Like, like
It flowed perfect.
it just.
It was the delivery.
No, it makes sense. It just like even like it makes sense. So even within the context, like I'm upset. It has no right to have worked that well, but it did, and I'm mad about it.
And John has once more ended the episode by
listen.
memeing.
Every time that it happens, you're getting closer and closer to the real end time. So you know what? It's
All right.
Yeah, it's better than the butt puns night where it started at like 50 minutes into
tonight it was 30 seconds instead of 30 minutes. So that's like, we're good. We're good to go. Like
I'm getting better. This is watch John become an entertainer live.
Oh gosh.
The pun cryptid John man.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, we are officially, I believe, at the end of our time. It is time for us to. I was gonna say go, but the reality is it's time for us to riff for like 10 more minutes and then go.
Yeah, this is the
But
part of
not
the show
before
where we
talking
forget.
about how it has taken us extra 10 minutes to get there. Um, but no, for real though, so just some reminders. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time, you can catch John and I back here along with Breedadon and Jess at GoJG playing the Blackout Club. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be terrifying. It's I'm very excited, to be completely honest with you. It's gonna be great. I'm obsessed with that game. And we're
We'll,
huh?
I was just gonna say we'll all be on our respective streams, so you can catch Lucas here. We'll have a multi-stream link,
Yeah.
like in all of our chats, so you can watch it on multi-stream, see all of us panic at once.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Because you know what's going to happen, right? Is the thing that happens in every horror movie that should never happen in any scenario depicted in horror movies, is we are absolutely going to split up at some point. So like it's going to happen probably due to panicking and running in just whatever direction we can. And then we'll end up in various places and, also sometimes somebody might see something that somebody else doesn't. It's going to be great. The point is it's going to be fun. You get to watch everybody's stream perspective at the same time. It's going to be fun. Next week on Wednesday, Infinite Horizon returns for season 2. And if you haven't caught up, there's a handy recap that you can watch that is 15 minutes long, which is a fraction of the original length of Infinite Horizon that I will not do the math for, because it's not relevant. But you can watch that and give you the idea of like the broad strokes beats from season 1, so that you can at least not be completely lost coming into season 2 and have a pretty solid idea of who everybody is and what's going on. On
Next Friday,
the 30th, this was not a me forgetting situation. This was a scenario of me like getting stuck between saying Friday and October 30th, and then just my brain just canceling out and deciding that I was going to say nothing for a few seconds. I will be yes, Friday, October 30th. There we go. I covered all my bases. I will be I believe it is at, oh gosh, I don't remember times. Just it's fine. I'll it's in the afternoon. I feel like I want to say it's at 1 p.m. Pacific, but I don't know that that's true. I think it's later than that. But regardless, I am going to be on Friends Who Roll Dice playing a Monster of the Week game as part of their month-long charity event where they're going to be running they have been running various spooky themed one-shots, and they will conclude their whole thing with early November, I think November 1st, is where with like a long charity stream event. But yeah, you can find me over there on October 30th. That is going to be immediately preceding Ramblemancy. So Ramblemancy might have a late start that day. Stay tuned to find out. Also, yes, Amethyst Cat Lady points out a very important thing right now, which is a really great way to support this and other streams. To vote. Vote.
make a plan.
Make a plan and vote. Because one of the things that is on the chopping block, should our current administration continue, is net neutrality, and that will fuck up everything. So if you have not already, do it. It's a great way to support your favorite streamers. That should not be your primary reason for doing it, but if it helps, Anyway, I actually just did a couple of days ago. It is very anticlimactic here. I don't even get a sticker, but
I know I didn't get a sticker either. I'm so upset.
I have voted many times in various elections, and I've never once gotten a sticker. I'm upset about it. Like to the point
So
where
now-
Facebook was like, "Have you voted? You should use this like temporary profile picture." I'm like, "No, real sticker, or nothing." So,
No
anyway.
talk me, I angry.
talk me, I angy. Yeah, stickers, man. I need them. I'll just make my own I voted sticker and just like,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah. All right. Are there other things happening? Oh, so hold on. Before I mentioned this before, but I've not been like. There is an official post coming, but because it is taking me a while to actually like draft it out in a way that is understandable. So there are some changes coming to our Patreon, specifically with the lowest tier. If you are not at that tier, then this will change nothing for you. But if you are at the lowest tier, we are going to be changing. First of all, the price of the lowest tier is going to be changing from $3 to $1. And Media Club will, instead of being twice a month every 2 weeks, will only be once a month, just because like all of us are having trouble keeping up with like. There was a time earlier this year where I think reading and watching new stuff was extremely easy, and now it has become less so. So we're having trouble keeping up with the demand, our own demand from new media. So we are just sort of going to be dialing back on that, and then to sort of reflect that and the things that you get at that tier, we're just lowering the price for the lowest tier. So it's just a $1 tier, $1 pledge, which is great because it actually gives you a lot of cool stuff, including access to like early access content as well as channel announcements and like well before anybody else gets them, some behind the scenes content as well as the Media Club and Infinite Horizon character journals. So those are all in there. So if you are considering it, the change hasn't happened yet. I believe I've scheduled the change to take place on November 1st. So yeah, there'll be more details in the post that I'll make coming up, but I just have to make sure I word it in a way, because it's like a weird way that Patreon does their like, you can't change the prices of stuff if there's people at like subscribed at that tier, so you have to do a weird workaround. Anyway, I'm going to put more details and instructions in the post. It's coming. But anyway, I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that if you haven't seen us posting about Media Club this month much, it's because of that. So it is coming. It will be there. That's all I have for Rule of Lore. John, you have stuff?
Oh, right. I'm, as you know, John Boyle. I am a TTRPG and talk show streamer by night and a writer and an editor by day. So you can find me on Twitter punning and yelling loudly about all of the projects that I am associated with at Resident Bard on Twitter, or if you or your friends have things that need a writer or an editor, fiction, comics, games, I am happy to do that. You can find my website at residentbard.com, and I have editing and writing commissions open right now, so you can find those there. But yeah, things I'm currently working on. I'm working on Articles of the Arcana with Matthew Gravelin, and Bree Donnan, who was in chat earlier, is also on that project. Same guy who made Mall Kids. I am the editor for the webcomic The Phoenix, and I'm currently working on the Short Games Digest for the San Gennaro Co-op. So lots of fun stuff going on for me, and a lot of words to edit.
Yeah. Sick. Well, thank you everybody for coming, hanging out, tuning in. Very excited for Infinite Horizon to come back. It will be very soon. So hopefully that is actually our next, well, other than tomorrow, like after this week, that is like earliest stream this coming week is Infinite Horizon. That's wild to me. Anyway, if you can, we'd love to see you tomorrow for our spooky multi-stream. What do we call it? We called it our spooktacular multi-scream event. It's gonna be.
We went over the top on the branding for that one.
The original title, fun fact, and I'll say, and then we'll leave for real. It hasn't quite been 10 minutes over yet, so I still got another.
Yeah, we got another 4 seconds.
Yeah, and just for being contrary. Okay, cool. Now I can. Fun fact: the original title of the event was not the original, but one of the titles that were floated was the Rule of Lore's Ghoultimate Spooktacular multi-scream event. And then Bree came in as the reality check and was like, listen, that's not going to fit on the poster. And I was like, fine, just cut one of the words then. Anyway. That's all we are going to do for now. I would like to commend John for keeping the daisy on his face the entirety of the screen.
That was impressive.
I nearly took it off several times, actually, but it is just fixed right behind me.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
I'd be alarmed if you just went like this and then pulled an actual daisy out.
That would be some David Blaine shit right there.
Dude, one of these streams, I'm gonna do it to you now. Like I'm gonna go get like a little daisy from Michael's, and then like at the end of some stream, I'm just gonna reach back and be like, whoop, ha.
So I think what we're saying is sponsor us, Michaels. Anyway, we're gonna go. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you hopefully tomorrow, but if not, we'll see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night and good zone, everybody.